We wanted to know how community influencers position themselves and SBAE migrators within their co-constructed context. The purpose of this study was to unfold the discursive positions of community influencers relative to their SBAE counterparts. We sought an outcome of better understanding the support and challenge imposed by communities as teachers enter and exit SBAE programs. Our study is significant in its scope and approach as it undertakes an examination of migration holistically, including various influencers, state staff, colleagues, administrators, and program alumni. We focused on migration in one agricultural education program with consistent SBAE churn. We define that as a new teacher every 5 years for the last 30. Having taught in the district for 5 years, I was better able to situate community knowledge and engage speakers in an accounting of the social and cultural factors influencing people's positioning of themselves and others. We involved influencers in a reflective, autobiographical interview process to establish a more holistic presentation of the discursive context in which SBAE migrators are positioned for the NPC district.
Well, the job is sustainable at a high level, but you can't be married. You can't have children. But you have to find that balance. You establish it and then you back off. Had I remained at Oakville, I would have backed off. I've been working at backing off. I just got out of robotics a little bit at a time. I eventually would have let super mileage go as well. You start doing those things that are important to you, that you'll prioritize them. I'm doing a lot more with the State Industrial Technology Teachers Association now than I ever did in my youth. I'm almost always doing sessions at conference.
What is the object for all that extra stuff? Is it to have members, or to make sure that we all remember that agriculture is important to our town and school? I think the teacher and administrator have to sit down and do some serious talking and say, I want to be here for a long time. I like this now, but if this is the way it's going to be, I can't do this anymore. We have to find a point where this is how many activities I do. I'm not going to do this anymore, and they have to be happy.
It's up to each individual. Who we have in there right now, there's just no time to talk about anything. They're going to do it their way. Now, we attempted to give them a heads up of how things have moved forward, or some successful things that they may want to think about. And it was just like, fine, but I'm going to do this my way.
I'm sure there's so many things I can help her with. I help the new home economics teacher almost every day for the first 2 weeks understand the grade program. Little things like that, the stuff you don't want to ask. They may not ask questions because it makes them feel stupid, but those little things are where they need help the most, not with the curriculum. You just need help with it, knowing where things are and procedures and things like that, knowing how to discipline a student and to make the teacher feel comfortable to send the kid out if he's doing this or that. Say, it's okay to discipline like this and not put up with too much. Give them some pearls of wisdom, as they say.
Eventually you'll be good. You'll make those connections, and you'll know who to call when you have a question. You can reach out to community members. You can build a program, and you can have those great interactions with kids, because really, that's what it's all about.
I want the ag teacher to be like a cheerleader or a ringleader. That is, you need somebody who will go out there and drum up support among community people, among school staff, administration, and then obviously among the students too. We can sit and say all these kids should want to be involved, but with kids, most of them need to see something fun. You're going to learn something, that's for sure, but don't tell them they're going to learn something in the process.
There's so much that goes on behind the scenes. It proves time and again, education is not having a document you can read to kids, or a video you can play, or a worksheet they're going to do and they're going to learn. It's an art form. One person being successful with text and worksheets doesn't mean anyone coming after them is going to be successful. It's in your head. It's experience.
In a town the size of Oakville, they really appreciate the teachers that live in town, go to their churches, are there for other activities, and the ones they see go downtown to the parade and all that stuff. People really appreciate it if you're living in a town you work in, but it just can't work that way so much more.
Administrators need to be clear in their desires and expectations for total program management to maintain program growth and align available resources to grow an SBAE program.
By seeking belonging and connection, co-teachers center their SBAE counterparts. Co-teachers also hold key insight regarding expectations and afford much-needed reality checks, preventing their co-workers from taking on too much.
Sharing the load of an integrated program is a key reason for the existence of alumni chapters. Therefore, presenting assistance to reduce SBAE teachers' decision load is essential to accepting offers for help.
An SBAE teacher's vision of enacting a purpose of agricultural education must align with their community influencers if it is to be positioned as supported. State directors and those with platforms for messaging to SBAE teachers are strongly encouraged to communicate a clear, single purpose of agricultural education and structure messaging, policy advocacy, and program implementation around the key purpose for the state to ease the learning curve.
Notably, community influencers recognize the difficult role an SBA teacher occupies.
They also offer substantial help and support to aid in managing the workload, and in fact, position themselves as rejected if the assistance was not accepted.
The assumption underlying this implication, based on the data presented here, is community members seek engagement.
Despite being busy survivors themselves, they are eager to be involved.
Community influencers were willing and able to provide much greater leverage to a total SBAE program, including financial stability, institutional knowledge, content expertise, facilitation of community connectedness, support to challenge students, and input and visioning for forward progress of the program.